The volleyball match was just a warm-up. Now for the main event. Saitama, Tatsumaki, and Fubuki, still buzzing from their game, decided a simple beach day wasn't enough. No, they were going to make it a challenge. The sun beat down on the golden sand as the trio got to work, transforming the peaceful shoreline into an epic obstacle course. Sand traps appeared as if by magic, deep and tricky. Beach swings hung precariously over the water. Series of floating platforms bobbed on the waves. And massive inflatable obstacles were scattered everywhere, looking like colorful sea monsters. Tatsumaki floated a few feet off the ground, a mischievous smirk on her face. Her green hair whipped around in the sea breeze as she gestured towards the chaotic setup. "Let's see if you can even keep up, Saitama," she taunted, her voice dripping with confidence. Down on the sand, her sister Fubuki giggled. She adjusted the straps of her cute bikini, a playful glint in her eyes. This was going to be fun, Saitama. Ever the picture of indifference, just stood there in his swim trunks, hands on his hips. He let out a long sigh and gave a slight shrug. "Fine," he said, his voice flat. "Let's get this over with." He didn't look impressed, but a tiny spark of curiosity flickered in his eyes. The stage was set, the rivals were ready, and the Great Beach Obstacle Challenge was about to begin. "Ready, set, go," Fubuki shouted, and the race was on. Tatsumaki shot into the air like a green comet, her psychic powers humming around her. Saitama started with a casual jog, while Fubuki dashed forward, her own psychic energy swirling at her fingertips. The first obstacle was the floating platforms. As Saitama approached, Tatsumaki, already hovering ahead, flicked her wrist. The platform he was about to jump on suddenly zipped to the left. He landed on it anyway, not even seeming to notice it had moved. He hopped to the next one, and Tatsumaki sent it spinning wildly. Saitama's footing was perfect. He just rode the spin like it was a slow-moving carousel. Fubuki decided to take a different approach. As Saitama ran along the shoreline, she slammed her hands onto the sand. A deep trench instantly formed in his path, followed by a series of shifting sand tunnels that twisted and turned. Saitama just ran through them. The sand walls crumbled as he passed, not from a deliberate punch, but from the sheer force of his casual stride. He emerged on the other side without a single grain of sand on him, looking slightly confused about why the ground was moving. He then encountered a series of giant inflatable beach balls blocking the path. With a light tap, he meant to just push one aside. Instead, the ball shot into the sky like a rocket, disappearing into a tiny dot before vanishing completely. Fubuki and Tatsumaki just stared, mouths agape for a second, before shaking their heads and refocusing on the race. Realizing their individual efforts were futile, the sisters exchanged a determined glance. It was time for teamwork. As Saitama approached the beach swings, Tatsumaki used her powers to make them swing in unpredictable, chaotic patterns. At the same time, Fubuki caused the ground beneath the swings to turn into quicksand. The plan was perfect. He'd either get stuck in the sand or get knocked into the water by a rogue swing. But Saitama simply timed his jumps perfectly. Leaping from one wildly swinging seat to another, with the grace of a bored acrobat, he didn't even seem to notice the shifting sand below him. Frustrated, Tatsumaki escalated. She started grabbing stray beach balls with her psychic energy, spinning them at incredible speeds and launching them at Saitama like green glowing cannonballs. Fubuki joined in, causing geysers of sand to erupt from the ground, trying to block his view and trip him up. Saitama, however, dodged everything with minimal effort. He'd tilt his head slightly to avoid a speeding ball, take a small sidestep to avoid a sand geyser, all while maintaining his bored expression. During one particularly close dodge, his hand dipped into the water, and he accidentally flicked a massive wave towards Fubuki. The wall of water crashed over her, and she let out a surprised squeal, emerging a moment later, drenched and sputtering. Tatsumaki couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter before getting back to the task at hand. This was proving to be much harder and funnier than they'd anticipated. "This is getting ridiculous," Tatsumaki shouted, her frustration mounting. "Let's turn up the heat." With a wave of her hand, a series of floating hoops appeared further down the course. But these weren't ordinary hoops. They were wreathed in shimmering psychic flames. Below them, Fubuki made massive walls of sand rise and fall like pistons, creating a complex, shifting maze. This had to be the thing that finally slowed him down. The combination of fire and earth, of precision and power, was their ultimate trick. Saitama jogged up to the new section of the course, paused for a fraction of a second, and then jumped. He didn't just jump over one sand wall, he leaped over the entire section. He sailed through the air in a perfect arc, passing clean over the flaming hoops and the crushing sand walls, landing gently on the other side without so much as breaking a sweat. He dusted off his hands, though they weren't dirty, and continued his leisurely jog. Tatsumaki just floated there, her jaw on the floor. "You make this look impossible to fail," she yelled, her voice a mix of awe and pure annoyance. Fubuki, who had been concentrating hard on her sand walls, collapsed onto her knees, laughing with a hint of exasperation. She wiped the water from her face. "He's not even trying." She giggled, watching Saitama's bald head get smaller in the distance. The challenge was meant for powerful espers, but against the sheer, casual power of Saitama. It was just a walk in the park. The finish line was in sight, a magnificent sandcastle tower intricately carved, standing tall against the afternoon sun. It was a masterpiece Fubuki had constructed earlier. Saitama casually strolled past the finish line, coming to a stop at the base of the tower. He looked back, waiting. A few moments later, Tatsumaki and Fubuki finally caught up. They didn't run across the finish line. They staggered, collapsing onto the warm sand in a heap, completely exhausted but also undeniably happy. They were breathing heavily, their psychic energy depleted, but their faces were flushed with laughter. Saitama watched them, tilting his head. He let out a small yawn, stretching his arms above his head. "Was that fun?" he asked, his voice as deadpan as ever. Tatsumaki, lying on her back and staring up at the sky, rolled her eyes, but couldn't suppress a small smile that tugged at her lips. It was infuriating, but she had to admit, it was fun. Fubuki pushed herself up onto her elbows, her hair dripping with seawater and clinging to her face. She looked at Saitama, then at her sister, and giggled. "Next time," she declared, pointing a wobbly finger at him, "I'll win." "Maybe." The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple. The trio sat together on the sand, the chaos of their challenge fading away into a comfortable, peaceful silence. It was a perfectly strange and comedic end to a wonderfully chaotic day at the beach. Thanks for watching, everyone, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.